This matter is before the court on the defendant's objection to a referee recommended order regarding child support. This hearing is being conducted via Zoom. President Attorney Gorski representing the plaintiff, Michaela Stango. Ms. Stango is present. In addition, Attorney Elizabeth Quinn is present, representing defendant Colin Quinn, and Mr. Quinn is present. Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Judge.
Good morning.
And for the length with Mr. Walker from the front of the court this morning, the court is aware there are other outstanding issues. The court sees that there's a parenting time hearing before referee Hamrick on November 14th. Parties have agreed to engage in mediation to address and resolve all the outstanding issues. Is that correct? Child support, parenting time, and so forth. Is that correct, Ms. Gorski and Ms. Quinn?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Walker will assume he's sending the court a recommendation. There it is. Mr. Walker's recommendation is that the parties shall follow the Monroe County Friendly Court holiday schedule. Any child support order ultimately entered shall be effective August 1st, 2024. The hearing before referee Hamrick scheduled for November 14th, 2024 at 11 a.m. shall be vacated. Fathers shall have parenting time every other Friday at 10 a.m. to Monday at 11 a.m. on a temporary basis pending mediation. Fathers shall provide all transportation, and fathers' parenting time shall commence on Friday, November 1st, 2024. The parties shall mediate with Mr. Brower from the front of the court on December 5. It's a Thursday at 1:30 p.m. via Zoom, and then subsequently appear before this court for a continued pretrial if the parties are unable to reach an agreement. That is a recommendation. Ms. Quinn, is this recommendation agree with your client this morning?
Yes, Your Honor. It's not perfect. It's not the ultimate outcome that he would like for this case, but he is satisfied with it on an interim basis. He would like for mother to be responsible for some transportation, but he understands Mr. Walker's recommendation and is fine to operate by those terms for the time being.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Quinn. And the reality is not a perfect world we live in. Mr. Gorski, is this recommendation good with your client this morning?
It is, except for, Judge, we're asking that the front of the court holiday schedule be adopted effective November 1st. And the reason is that Mr. Quinn had Halloween last year with the minor child, so my client would like Halloween this year with the minor child. I think you understand the importance that Halloween has taken with respect to young children. And because she didn't have it last year, she'd like it this year. And just so that you're aware, I think Ms. Quinn is going to assert that my client has all the holidays. I would just put out there that the child was isolated last year for Christmas because she had RSV. Mr. Quinn had to work on July 4th, and she didn't know it was his birthday when he wanted the child on his birthday. So wait, all of that aside, we have no problem adopting the front of the court holiday schedule. We would just like it to be November 1st.
Very well, and of course, the front of the court holiday schedule does indicate that in even numbered years that fathers shall have Halloween from 4:30 until 8:30. Any objection, Ms. Quinn, to that? To that party's understanding that Dad will have Halloween this year from 4:30 to 8:30?
No,
Yes, Your
my
Honor.
client would have it, Judge. My client didn't have
sorry.
it last year.
Okay, was that discussed with Mr. Walker this morning?
It was.
Okay, Mr. Walker, what's your recommendation in that regard? Did you, the recommendation is not clear in terms of whether or not it does say the party shall follow the front of the court holiday schedule.
Your Honor, my recommendation would be that, because basically, to be honest with you, it's because the parties can't agree on the holiday and what should happen with it. I was going to adopt the front of the court holiday schedule immediately.
Okay, and if we adopt that immediately forthwith, then father would have Halloween, and you're opposed to that, correct, Ms. Gorski?
Yeah, just because he had it last year and I understand that going forward, we'll have the front of the court holiday schedule, but he had it last year and Halloween is a big deal.
If I may speak to that, Your Honor.
Hey, Ms. Quinn?
Thank you. If Ms. Gorski and her client would be willing to offer my client every holiday other than Halloween for the next 2 years, I don't think that we would have any objection to what their ask is at this time. But I think that there's going to be some growing pains with the adoption of this holiday schedule. I don't see any reason as to why it shouldn't be implemented now. Halloween was the only holiday that my client has ever spent with a minor child, and he believes that he only spent it with her last year because it fell on a day that he ordinarily had time with her, and Ms. Stango had other plans. That's his understanding. He'd like Halloween. He'd like to operate by the holiday schedule unless or until we can come to another agreement. But I think that it's going to be difficult for mother who's exercised parenting time on all holidays other than Halloween last year to come to terms with this schedule. We would ask that it be implemented immediately.
This is, and we're setting the tone going forward, Judge. This is exactly the problem that I'm having. You know, we all understand that Halloween's important. We had it last year. My client has made concessions today. Quite frankly, right now, pending a hearing, we have reasonable and liberal parenting time. That is the current order. We're here on a de novo hearing. We're scheduled to address parenting time on November 14th. My client came to the table in good faith. She's been cooperative. She's been making concessions, and there are no concessions being made on the other side. We're just asking them, and we'll live with the front of the court holiday schedule, although arguably it's not wonderful for very small children, and you know why. We're just asking that it be adopted on Friday instead of on Thursday. Mr. Quinn plans to drive from Grass Lake, where he elected to move, to Monroe and pick this child up at 4:30 and drive this 2.5-year-old back to mom at 8:30 on Thursday night and drive back to Monroe on Friday morning at 11 and take her back to Grass Lake this Friday. So just to flex, I guess, he would have this child in the car for over 3 hours in a 12-hour period to get what he wants. That's what we're dealing with.
Right.
Just like to note that.
Ms. Quinn, was Mr. Quinn intending to drive all the way back to Grass Lake for these couple of hours? It's a lot
Well,
for
Your
the
Honor,
child. Don't we have local family in Monroe?
Yes, Mr. Quinn is my brother-in-law. I live in Monroe,
Okay.
approximately 5 minutes from Stango. He could stay at my house on Thursday night if he would like to.
What about the splitting the time? One parent is from 4:30 to 6 o'clock. No one has from 6 to 8.
That was not something that we discussed in detail with
Right, the
Mr.
court is
Walker.
proposing that. Why would that work with the child stays here in Monroe and the parties divide up? Typically, we have a 2-year-old child, correct? Typically, a 2-year-old is not going to go walk a dozen homes. The 2-year-old is typically going to visit family members, grandparents, uncles, and aunts, correct? So
Yes,
why can't the parties share that?
It was my understanding that Miss Stango wanted to take the child to some place in Perrysburg, Ohio. That's what was conveyed in our session with Mr. Walker.
Yeah, Judge, we
Somebody's
invited
breaking up. Mr. Walker, can you talk
Quinn.
with the party? Miss Quinn, Miss Gorski, you want to talk to Mr. Walker again? Why can't the parties divide up? And no one is going to drive to Perrysburg, Grass Lake. Let's keep the child here in Monroe. I mean, aren't there other family members, relatives here in Monroe? That 2 years is going to basically see uncles and aunts and grandparents. That's it.
Sure.
Can they divide up Halloween? It's going to rain anyways. So the child's not going to be outside going door to door. And there's nowadays there's more trunk or treats than there are. Those seem more appropriate for young kids than the actual Halloween day. It's going to be cold and rainy on Thursday. So this child's not going to be outdoors going door to door. Why can't the parties split up then this Thursday?
We would be fine with that, Judge. We invited Mr. Quinn to join us.
Mr. Quinn would not like to spend the Halloween holiday in Perrysburg, Ohio, when it's awarded to him in the.
No, the
front of
child's going to stay in
courtroom.
Monroe. Why does the child have to be driven to Perrysburg, an hour away?
My
Ms.
whole
Gorski?
family lives in Ohio, Your Honor.
I'm going to talk to Mr. Walker briefly. Unless, do you want the court to make a decision? Because what the court's going to do, we're going to split Halloween. That's what we're going to do for 2024. We're going to split Halloween. Who wants the first shift? Who wants the second shift?
I want the second.
Since Dad's the first shift, court will order that Dad have Halloween from 4:30 till 6 o'clock. Mom can have Halloween thereafter because the child's going to be at mom's house that night, correct?
Yes.
All right. So, Mr. Walker, you had the recommendation that Dad will have the child on Halloween from 4:30 till 6 o'clock, and Mom will have from 6 o'clock the remainder of the evening. Anything further than this morning, Ms. Quinn or Ms. Gorski?
No, Your Honor.
Michaela, I'll give you a call.
So again, Dad's going to be, he's going to pick up the child at 6 o'clock and then bring the child back to Mom at, I'm sorry, he's going to pick up the child at 4:30 and return the child to Mom at 6 o'clock, correct?
Would it be 6:30, Your Honor, if it's a 4-hour time period?
Well, again, the mom's going to, mom wants to go to Perrysburg, is that correct? I mean, it's sort of late for this child. I mean, I think an hour and a half for both parents are sufficient. I think Halloween, this timeframe for the friendly court schedule is really too late for a 2-year-old. So again, Dad Rep, Halloween, parenting time, 4:30 to 6 o'clock. We'll add that to the recommendation. And hopefully the parties can work out the other issues when they mediate with Ms. Brower on December 5 at 1:30. Anything further than this morning, Ms. Quinn or Ms. Gorski?
No,
No,
Your-
thank you, Judge.
And Mr. Quinn, you and Ms. Stango need to start communicating. Think about it. You know what's best for your respective schedules, and you're asking a stranger to make these decisions. And that's what, if you want this court to raise your child, that's what the court will do. But it's very unfortunate that two of you cannot see eye to eye and communicate effectively regarding a child you brought into this world. So with that, we will see everyone after the mediation on December 5.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, you're welcome.